Hi guys, welcome back to Bow's Fan TV, and today we're back with another video of the match reaction to last night's 2-1 defeat against Shamrock Rovers at Dalymount Park. An extremely tough one to take. I felt like, even before Rovers got the equaliser, we should have been out of sight once again. Have a situation where missed chances come back to bite us, and yeah, we lose it in really, really heartbreaking circumstances right at the death. But first half, it felt like we were really good. We were really up for it. Even from the off, before we got our goal, we were quite aggressive, pressing really well. Parsons, Whelan, they were, working really hard. And then obviously, we also, we could have gone 1-0 up before Rossi scored. We win the ball back, and Dawson has a go and hits it right on McGinty. He spills it, but we can't follow it in. And the early signs were there that we were knocking on the door, and we then get our goal from Rossi. Header across. He's there to put it in. McGinty gets a hand to it, but can't keep it out. And we fully deserved the goal because like I said, we started really well. We were really up for it, just what we wanted to see, in a derby, and we were in the lead, and continued to do pretty well in the first half. Didn't really look like we were going to concede. Roberts weren't offering anything really, and going into the second half, it was just about keeping it up, and we created a couple of really good chances. Dale Rooney, especially, has one where we get in from a mistake from Rovers, and he just curls one past the post. Has the option to square it as well, and you're just thinking, God, I really, really hope that doesn't come back to bite us, and inevitably it does. Once again, we can see it from a ball into the box. Sabawale crosses it. John McGovern's there to head it home, and once again, we're just left thinking, how are we in this situation? But we kept going, but we missed another big chance from Rossi. The ball goes over the top and lands at his feet, and he hits it first time, but right at Ed McGinty. If he just hits it either side of him, it's probably a goal. And there was another really, really big chance completely squandered, and then obviously we get the absolute sucker punch of conceding right at the death to lose the game. We were failing to deal with, a couple of set pieces beforehand, and the ball goes in again, and then the Stevens, it's a really good header, to be fair, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to lose in that fashion in the last derby in Dalymount and its current guise. It's really tough to take, especially given the fact that we probably didn't deserve it. We were the better side on the night, but once again, just let ourselves down with missing chances and not dealing with the balls into the box. It ends in defeat. And like we said, you can take some positives from it. I suppose the fact that we did play quite well, but ultimately we're letting ourselves down again. We continue to be our own worst enemies, really. Just with the chances that we're missing, the goals we're conceding. If we just dealt with those situations better, we would have won the game. A couple of other things as well. I wasn't a fan of Reynolds' substitutions. I think, I thought Whelan was really working hard up there. He wasn't, creating lots of chances or getting himself in any kind of position to score. But, I felt like he was doing his best up there, and he brings him off for Dougie, who again just didn't really look all that interested. He just wasn't really applying the same sort of work rate as Whelan was. He takes off Flores for Sam Todd, and anyone who watched that first half against Dundalk 2 or 3 weeks ago knows that Sam Todd at left back, it just doesn't work. I thought Flores was doing okay. I suppose you have to manage him. Flores, with he's coming back from an injury. But he played 90 minutes the other week, so clearly there's nothing wrong with him. So yeah, I just thought the substitutions didn't work. But ultimately, we can sit here and talk about how we were the better side, or we should have been out of sight. But ultimately, you can't sugarcoat it really. We've missed some big chances. We've conceded 2 goals again from balls into the box that we didn't deal with. So those are things we have to cut out of our game, because we look at the amount of goals you conceded like that this season. It must be approaching the double digits, really. We conceded from a ball into the box up in Galway on Friday, countless set pieces as well. So look, defensively, I think it's safe to say we aren't as strong as we were in the first series of games. And again, going forward, we could talk about it till the cows come home, but God, we just find ways nearly every week to just blow away so many great opportunities. And that's just the incredibly frustrating thing. That's really what's separating us from really having a good go at a title push this season, is the fact that we just don't really have someone there that's going to put those chances away 9 times out of 10. So it's incredibly frustrating when you think about all of that, and the chances that we had, and had we have just buried a couple of them, we would have won the game and be heading to the top of the table. And that's how unforgiving this league can be. You can have a real good high like we've had done in the last 3 weeks, winning 3 on the bounce and getting ourselves back in a good position, and then you can get hit with a sucker punch like that by losing the derby in the last minute. So it just shows you how things can change. But we can't let this dampen our spirits. We've got to go again now up in the showgrounds on Friday and get back to winning ways. If we can put in a similar performance and create the same level of chances that we did, but just take them, then we'd be hopeful that we could get the win. But we've got to do better defensively as well. We once again, like we said, we've conceded 2 goals from not being able to deal with balls into the box, and it's become a bit of an issue for us that we have to rectify. But overall, a really tough one to take. Once again, we failed to take the shots that we create, and it comes back to bite us. But we've just got to dust ourselves off and go again in Sligo, and hope that we can respond. So that's where I'll end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment down below your thoughts on the game, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.